You felt it before. That quiet, uneasy thought that something in your life doesn't feel real. You wake up, scroll, work, repeat. Everything looks normal, but somehow, it isn't. It's like you're following invisible rules that no one ever explained. You're not forced to obey them. You choose to. And that's exactly what The Matrix was trying to warn us about. When it hit theaters in 1999, people thought it was just a movie about AI, machines, and the future of technology. But they missed the real message. The Matrix wasn't about the world being controlled by computers. It was about us controlling ourselves. It was about how comfort becomes a cage, how doubt becomes programming, and how waking up, really waking up, hurts. Because what traps us isn't the machines. It's the code we run inside our own minds. And the worst part? We built this system ourselves. Every like, every scroll, every moment of quiet obedience, we've been feeding the very matrix we think we escaped. When The Matrix dropped in 1999, it didn't feel like science fiction. It felt like a confession. People left theaters shaken, not because of the kung fu or slow motion bullets, but because somewhere deep down, it felt true. Everyone knew what Neo felt. That sense that something was off, that life was a loop you couldn't break no matter how hard you tried. He wakes up alone in his tiny apartment, staring at screens that never answer him back. The room number, 101, isn't just a number. It's binary code, 1 and 0, yes and no, obedience and rebellion. It's also a nod to Orwell's 1984, Room 101, the place where people face their deepest fears. Neo's fear isn't death or pain. It's meaninglessness. He's living in a world that feels real, but doesn't feel alive. And that's why this story still hits so hard today. Because, look around, our apartments are filled with screens too. We live in a world where people smile in public and scream in private. Where you can scroll for hours and still feel empty when the screen goes black. Just like Neo, we suspect something is wrong, but we can't prove it. So we go back to sleep. Neo's job only makes it worse. His boss talks like a machine wearing a human suit.
Because every single employee understands that they are part of a whole. Thus, if an employee has a problem, the company has a problem.
It sounds reasonable, but it's a threat wrapped in corporate politeness. The message is simple. Don't stand out. Don't question. Don't feel too much. Even his boss calls him Mr. Anderson, the same way Agent Smith does later on. That's not a coincidence. It's the system speaking through different mouths, reminding him who's in charge. And right there, as a window cleaner wipes the glass outside his office, Neo gets a tiny glimpse through the blur. For a split second, the world looks clear. He sees past the smear, past the illusion. He's not awake yet, but his eyes are starting to open. We've all felt that moment, a crack in the routine, a flash of clarity that makes you realize your life is on autopilot. But most of us ignore it and call it stress, because it's easier to believe everything's fine than to accept you're living someone else's program. But Neo couldn't ignore it forever. And neither can we, because once you see the cracks in the world you built, you can't unsee them. The Matrix doesn't need guards or fences. It keeps you obedient by convincing you that you're free. That's what makes the scene in Neo's office so disturbing once you see it for what it is. His boss doesn't yell. He doesn't threaten. He reminds. He speaks like a machine that learned to mimic empathy.
This company is one of the top software companies in the world because every single employee understands that they are part of a whole.
It sounds harmless, but what he's really saying is you are replaceable. Step out of line and the system will erase you. That's why he calls him Mr. Anderson. It's the name the system gave him, not the one he chose. It's an identity built for control, wrapped in politeness, reinforced through repetition. Even Agent Smith, later in the film, says it the same way. Cold, robotic, like a glitch repeating itself. Because in the Matrix, names aren't for connection, they're for classification. And that's how control works in real life too. It doesn't come from whips and chains. It comes from expectations, titles, and rules we've stopped questioning. Employee, citizen, content creator. You start living by labels, and before long, you forget what you actually believe. In that office, Neo wasn't being fired, he was being formatted. The moment the boss turns away, a cleaner wipes the window, and suddenly, the world outside becomes visible again. Just for a second, a flash of clarity before it's gone. Neo looks out and something deep inside him stirs. He's still trapped, but now he knows. And that tiny moment, that first spark of awareness, is the most dangerous thing in any system built on control. Because once someone realizes they're not free, they start looking for the exit. But in the Matrix, curiosity is rebellion. And rebellion always comes with a price, because the moment you start asking why, the system asks, who gave you permission to think? Every awakening begins with fear. When Neo steps into the car with Trinity, Switch, and Apoc, he doesn't know it yet. But this is the point of no return. Rain streams down the window, glowing like green code, blurring the world outside into static. Everything about this moment is drenched in tension. He wants answers, but part of him already knows the truth is going to hurt. Then Trinity turns to him and says,
"Because you have been down there, Neo. You know that road."
It's such a simple line, but it cuts deep, because everyone watching knows that road too, the one that loops endlessly between comfort and regret, the job you hate but can't quit, the relationship that's safe but dead, the life that's fine but not alive. Neo isn't choosing between red and blue yet, he's choosing between change and familiarity. And that's what makes this part so powerful, because fear is the system's greatest defense. It doesn't have to chain you down, it just has to convince you that leaving is dangerous. That's why the system mocks dreamers, labels rebels as crazy, and calls anyone who questions it a threat, not because they're wrong, but because they might inspire others to wake up too. Morpheus appears like a myth come to life. He doesn't try to convince Neo with logic or data. He speaks the language of faith, of belief.
Do you believe in fate, Neo?
No,
Why not?
because I don't like the idea that I'm not in control of my life.
That's the entire movie in one exchange. Neo still thinks control means holding on. But the truth, the one Morpheus is about to show him, is that real control begins the moment you let go. Because everything we cling to, the job, the money, the persona, it's all built from fear. Fear of being nobody, fear of failing, fear of waking up and realizing we've been asleep for years. And when Morpheus holds out his hands, one blue pill, one red, Neo isn't just choosing between illusion and truth. He's choosing whether he wants to live safe or see. But seeing has a cost. Because the moment you open your eyes, you can never close them again. The truth doesn't feel like freedom. At first, it feels like loss. When Neo takes the red pill, the world doesn't gently fade away. It collapses, his body convulses, the mirrors melt, and reality dissolves like static. He's ripped from everything familiar, and for the first time, he wakes up. But what he wakes into isn't paradise. It's horror. He opens his eyes inside a pod, naked, weak, covered in slime, surrounded by towers of people trapped just like him, each one dreaming their lives away while machines feed on their energy. It's not a rebirth, it's an autopsy. This is what waking up actually looks like. It's not glamorous, it's not cinematic. It's painful, because every illusion we let go of takes a piece of our comfort with it. You lose your certainty, you lose your routine, you lose the fake version of yourself that made the lie feel safe. When Neo gasps, "Why do my eyes hurt?" Morpheus answers,
You've never used them before.
It's such a small line, but it's everything. It's what happens the first time you see the world for what it really is. When you realize how much of your life was built on assumptions, on borrowed opinions, on expectations you never questioned. That's why waking up hurts. Because you start seeing how many of your dreams weren't really yours. You see how the system taught you what to want, what to chase, what to fear. And the scariest part is that it worked. In the film, the color palette tells the same story. The Matrix glows green, familiar, digital, seductive. It feels warm even though it's fake. But the real world? Cold, metallic, gray. There's no comfort there, just truth. And that's the choice we all face eventually. Do you want warmth or do you want reality? Because truth won't comfort you. It will strip you. It will take your walls, your excuses, your identity, and leave you naked in front of yourself. But that's where it begins. That's where real life starts. Not in the comfort of illusion, but in the chaos of clarity. Neo was no longer dreaming, he was seeing. And that's when he learned the most brutal lesson of all, that freedom and comfort can't exist in the same room. Freedom isn't what Neo expected. He thought waking up meant being free. Instead, it meant starting over, weaker, slower, and more lost than ever. That's when Morpheus begins to teach him what the movie's been saying all along.
I thought it wasn't real.
Your mind makes it real.
In other words, it's not the system holding you back, it's you. Inside the training programs, Neo learns kung fu, jumps across skyscrapers, and fights Morpheus. But the battles aren't about strength, they're about belief. He punches, he sweats, he gasps for air. And Morpheus just stands there, calm and untouchable, asking,
You think that's air you're breathing now?
It's such a small line, but it cuts deep, because even after waking up, Neo's still playing by the old rules. He still believes he needs oxygen. He still believes in gravity. He still believes in limits. He's awake, but he's still dreaming like a prisoner. And that's the hardest part of growth, unlearning the beliefs that kept you safe. You can change your environment, your job, your city, but if your mindset stays the same, the matrix comes with you. Then comes the kid with the spoon. He says,
There is no spoon.
It's more than a clever quote. It's a roadmap for reality. The spoon only bends when Neo stops trying to control it and starts realizing that control itself is an illusion. It's not the world that changes, it's his perception. Because when you shift your mind, the world reacts to it. Every limitation, every failure, every fear, it's all code waiting to be rewritten. That's what the Matrix is really about. It's not telling you to fight the system. It's telling you to outgrow it, to stop thinking like the person the system trained you to be. Neo's body was out of the Matrix, but his mind was still plugged in. And until he learned to rewrite that code, to see beyond what he'd been told was possible, he would never truly be free. The Oracle understood that. She doesn't tell him the truth. She tells him what he needs to believe to find it himself. You're not the one, she says. And that doubt becomes the spark, because belief isn't handed to you. It's forged through failure. Neo would have to die before he could finally wake up. But before death comes the test, and it starts with temptation. 6 temptation and relapse, the price of comfort. The Matrix isn't just about waking up. It's about how easy it is to go back to sleep. And that's where Cypher comes in. Cypher isn't evil. He's tired. He's seen the truth, felt the cold metal walls of the real world, and he hates it. The food tastes like paste. The sky is gone. Every day feels like survival, not freedom. So he makes a deal with the devil, or in this case, with Agent Smith. That one line says everything.
Ignorance is bliss.
Cypher knows the stake isn't real, but he doesn't care. Because even a fake life feels better than a hard one. It's one of the most honest moments in the entire movie, and one of the darkest, because it exposes something we don't like to admit. Most people don't actually want freedom. They want comfort disguised as freedom. That's what the Matrix feeds us every day. Little hits of pleasure that keep us docile. Likes, views, notifications, digital stake. It tastes good, even when we know it's fake. Cypher's betrayal isn't shocking. It's relatable. He's not selling out humanity because he's cruel. He's doing it because he's exhausted. And that's why he's dangerous, because he represents all of us when we start saying, the crew on the ship sits around eating their gray slop.
Why, oh why didn't I take the blue pill?
The complete opposite of Cypher's glossy illusion. That scene isn't just about food, it's about trade-offs. Truth doesn't always taste good, but it's real. And the moment you choose real over comfortable, the Matrix loses its grip. But most people don't make it that far. They relapse. They go back to scrolling, consuming, obeying, because it's easier than thinking. Cypher wanted pleasure without purpose, safety without sacrifice. He wanted to dream without knowing he was dreaming. And that's why he never understood the Matrix wasn't built to control people. It was built to protect them from themselves. But Neo was about to prove that you can't protect someone who's ready to wake up. Because belief, once ignited, doesn't go quietly. Neo's story has always been about one thing: the moment you stop running from fear and start walking toward it. When Morpheus is captured, Neo doesn't wait for orders. He chooses to act. He and Trinity gear up for what feels like a suicide mission. 2 humans charging into the system itself. But for the first time, Neo isn't doubting himself. He isn't thinking. He's believing. The elevator doors open. The bullets fly. The music swells. It's one of the most iconic action sequences ever filmed. But under all the chaos, something subtle is happening. Neo's mindset is shifting. He's no longer reacting to the Matrix. He's rewriting it as he moves.
There's a difference between knowing the path and walking the path.
That line hits harder the older you get, because most of us already know the path. We know what we need to do, who we need to become, what we need to change. But knowing doesn't free you. Doing does. The subway fight with Agent Smith is where Neo finally proves it. He could have run. Every instinct told him to. But he turns around. He faces the thing he's been avoiding his entire life: fear itself. That moment isn't about bravery, it's about surrender. The instant he stops fighting to survive and starts accepting what's coming, he becomes unstoppable. Moments later, he dies. And in that death, every illusion burns away. The fear, the doubt, the false identity of Mr. Anderson, gone. He's reborn, not as the one, but as someone who finally believes he is. When he rises, the rules no longer apply. He doesn't dodge bullets anymore. He simply watches them stop mid-air, like they never had power in the first place. That's the moment he transcends the system, not by hacking it, but by understanding it. Because once you realize the Matrix was built on fear, the moment you stop fearing, it collapses. And that's the real secret buried inside the Matrix. You don't destroy control by fighting it. You destroy it by refusing to play by its rules. When Neo finally faces the machines at the end, he doesn't fight. He doesn't yell, threaten, or demand. He simply speaks, with absolute clarity.
I'm going to show them a world where anything is possible.
That's not just the ending of a movie. That's the thesis of an entire generation waking up. Because the Matrix was never about cables, circuits, or artificial intelligence. It was about belief systems, about how every society builds its own simulation. A world of rules, routines, and invisible scripts that tell you who to be. And the moment you start obeying those scripts without question, you're back inside the Matrix. The truth isn't hidden in some secret government lab or behind a computer screen. It's right here, in your thoughts, in your routines, in the stories you tell yourself every day. That's the real Matrix. It's not out there, it's in here. And here's the paradox. The system doesn't actually need to control you. It just needs you to believe you can't live without it. That's why most people never wake up. Because waking up means giving up the comfort of certainty. It means realizing that every label, every expectation, every rule was made up by someone who wanted you predictable. But once you see the code, once you stop obeying fear, you realize something incredible. The Matrix doesn't end when you wake up. It bends. You stop playing by its rules and start rewriting them. That's what Neo does when he flies at the end. It's not about superpowers. It's about freedom, the ability to live in the same world everyone else does, but not be owned by it. Because freedom was never about escaping the system. It was about transcending it, living inside the noise without letting it program you. Seeing through the illusion, while still choosing to create. That's why the Matrix still matters, not because it predicted the rise of AI or virtual reality, but because it predicted us, a world addicted to screens, craving control, and calling it freedom. And the only way out is the same as it's always been, to remember who you are when the noise goes silent, to question everything you were told to want, to believe again, not in systems or saviors, but in your own ability to see through the code. So maybe the Matrix was never a warning. Maybe it was a mirror, and the real red pill is realizing you've been holding it the whole time. The Matrix doesn't end when the credits roll. It lingers, like a question that keeps echoing in the back of your mind. Every day, we wake up inside our own version of it, a world that rewards comfort, punishes curiosity, and disguises control as convenience. We think we're choosing freely, but most of the time, we're just choosing the easiest option the system gives us. The truth is, there's no red pill waiting on your nightstand. There's only awareness. The quiet decision to stop scrolling for a second, to ask why one more time, to see through one more illusion. Because the Matrix was never built to trap you. It was built to test you, to see how far you'll go before you remember that you always had a choice. So maybe the question isn't what's real. Maybe it's how awake do you want to be? If this story made you think, really think, hit that like button so more people can wake up too. And remember, the real world doesn't start when you unplug. It starts the moment you stop obeying fear and start rewriting your own code.